The third season of the Mario's Hard Espresso series is right around the corner, and around this time, teams are making their paint schemes and planning their tunes to compete in what will be an 11-week season, the longest in the series history. This season, we've got 35 drivers that aim to take home the trophy and the championship of this third season of this highly anticipated Mario's Hard Espresso series. We've got veterans in the field, we've got rookies, and we've got all sorts of drivers that are aiming to compete for this championship this season. So without further ado, here is the Hater's Guide to Season 3 of the Mario's Hard Espresso series. Season 2, we were introduced to a driver known as Shoplifting, who would run the tires off more than anyone else and would always be on hard tires more than anyone else. Last season, Shoplifting ran on hard tires more than anybody else, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. Shoplifting was extremely inconsistent back in Season 2, as he started 7 races with only having 2 top 10s, an average finish of 13.4, and finished 14th in the driver points. Shoplifting looks to take that next step in Season 3, and we'll see if he can do that or not. Maybe he'll become more lax with his tire savings, and maybe he'll improve as the season goes along, chasing a top 10 points finish, and that should be Shoplifting's goal for this year. He doesn't enter the season as a real championship threat, but we'll see what he can do with a second season under his belt. It's the first full season for Outlaw Johnny in the number 3 team, and his 2 starts last season were, I guess, a moderate success for the 3 team. In his 2 starts last season in Season 2, he had 1 top 10 finish, had an average finish of 9.9, and finished 25th in the driver standings. However, as Johnny enters his first full season, we'll see what he can do with new controller settings. It was just revealed that in his 2 starts last season, Johnny had 96.1% acceleration rather than 100%, and that's probably why Johnny ran in the back for a little bit during last season's Mario's races, as well as other VRA races where Johnny was stuck in the back. When he's not wrecking, hopefully Johnny can be much faster this season. Last season, Juggernauts didn't race much in the Mario series, but when he did, he really wasn't the best performer ever. In his 2 starts back in Season 2, he had a rough average finish of 16.5 and ended up finishing 28th in the driver points. In his 2 starts last season, Juggernauts was a big disappointment. For this season, Juggernauts doesn't have much expectations, but hopefully he can race in more races and hopefully improve on that average finish and maybe contend for the top 15 in points. That's easier said than done though, with Juggernauts having 0 to low expectations going into the season. Grizzly Green is probably the driver that is against cautions the most, and he's the one that complains the most when a caution comes out. With that said though, Grizz is still a good driver in the series. He raced a lot in Season 1, but he only raced 1 time in Season 2. But that race in Season 2, he scored a 3rd place finish at Eagle Rock. He finished 32nd in the points, but that's only because he only made 1 start on the season. We all know if Grizz races, he can be extremely competitive, but that's a big if. If Grizz wants to compete for the championship, he's got to boost his attendance. We all know Grizz can be competitive when he races, but will his attendance be good enough to compete for the championship this season? Time will tell. Our resident chase sexual NASCAR baby is back in the Mario's Hard Espresso series for his 2nd season. While he did finish in the top 10 in the points, I'd say it was a fairly disappointing season for NASCAR baby. He was one of only 5 drivers in Season 2 that raced in all 9 races last season. But in those 9 races, he did not finish in the top 5 once, only scored 3 top 10s, and only had an average finish of 13.0. He did finish 8th in the points, but that was really only because he raced in all 9 races last season. Drivers like Gavin, Mikey, and Jumpin' finished ahead of him in the standings, despite running 1 less race throughout the season than NASCAR Baby. If NASCAR Baby wants to be competitive for the championship in Season 3, NASCAR Baby will have to be more consistent with his runs. He did have a lot of bad luck towards the end of the season where he was running up front, but wrecked in the late stages. If NASCAR Baby wants to be a true contender in this series this season, he needs to be more consistent with his... I repeat, championship or bust. It is championship or bust for Rick this season. Last season, we all thought it might have been Rick's year. I mean, he dominated the season, got a win at Sunset, and looked like he was in prime position to potentially bring home the championship. That is until he got into an incident at Hakone, with another driver that we'll mention later, and Rick just came up a few spots short of the championship. However, it is championship or bust for Rick this season, no doubt about it. Anything short of a championship this year for the 11 team is going to be a disappointment. His stats in Season 2 were fantastic. Raced in all 9 races, one of just 5 drivers to do that. Won a race at Sunset, scored 4 top 5s and 7 top 10s, had an average finish of 6.3, and finished runner-up in the standings. The only driver that started 6 or more races that had a better average finish than Rick was eventual champion Andy. It is no doubt championship or bust for Rick, and anything short of a championship. Last season was the definition of inconsistent for Skins, who now heads into his 3rd season. Back in Season 2, he raced in all 9 races, but he didn't win a race, only scored 3 top 5s and 4 top 10s. He had an average finish of 10.4, which is very middle of the pack. However, he did finish in the top 5 in points, but he mostly benefited from Gavin and Mikey missing races respectively. We know Skins can be a good driver, but I never thought that Skins had race-winning speed at any point of last season. Right now, Skins is being looked at as an upper mid-pack driver, and that needs to change in Season 3 if Skins is going to compete for this championship. We all know he has speed week in and week out, but throughout the course of last season, Skins never really looked like he had race-winning speed at any point this season. Whether that changes, I'm not sure, but if Skins wants to become a true championship contender and emerge as a real threat, Skins has to be more consistent with his runs and show up with more speed on the racetrack. And he's going to need it too, because Skins moves from the 14 to the 12th car following Truex's mostly departure from VRA. I think with all the emerging talent coming into VRA, I think Crooked Khan is quickly becoming one of the more underrated and underappreciated drivers in the league. He only made 4 starts last season, but in all 4 of his starts, he actually ran pretty well. He didn't win a race, but he finished in the top 5 twice and finished in the top 10 3 times, allowing him to earn an average finish of 8.5. He did finish 18th in the points, but that was only because he made 4 starts on the season. If Crooked can boost his attendance just a little bit, I think Khan can be a really good contender to finish in the top 10 in the points this season. He just needs to bring that attendance up. But if he can show up consistently, he'll be a threat to maybe win a race and finish in the top 10 in the standings. However, he's usually a really good road course racer, and that won't help him this season with no road courses on the schedule. One of our many paint scheme warriors in VRA, Exotic Forza, is going to be running his first full season in the Mario series. In his only start last season at Daytona, he finished 7th, but mostly ran mid-pack during the race. Exotic is one of our many unproven rookies going into the season, as in all of his other starts in the W Series as well as pop-ups haven't really been all that remarkable. Exotic is one of many drivers this season to keep an eye on, and we'll see if he can truly prove himself in this league. If he doesn't, well, he might be looked at as a mediocre to mid-pack driver. Look for Exotic to contend for the top 10 to 15 in points, and we'll see if he can run well and prove himself in. And here is my personal pick to win Rookie of the Year for this season. NWR Slow has been becoming one of VRA's best drivers in the W Series. NWR Slow won 3 straight races in the W Series just a couple of weeks ago, and now he's going to be running his first season in the Mario Series. However, he has never ran a season of Mario's in the Mario Series, and obviously hasn't ran a race. So we'll see how Slow is able to do with tunes against all the other drivers in VRA. But from what we've seen out of Slow so far, he's shown tons of speed in both pop-ups and the W Series, and he might be an under-the-radar championship contender going into the season. He is the front-runner for Rookie of the Year, and he should be a title contender. Now, if Slow isn't the one that wins Rookie of the Year, I think this guy in the 20th Vision wins it. As of the making of this slide, Vision hadn't raced in any official VRA race until last Friday, where Vision won his first ever W Series race over at Hakone. From that, we know Vision can be a good road course racer, but we haven't seen him on the ovals just yet. But from what I've heard from drivers like Slow and Shoplifting, EMC is a very good team of drivers, and some of those EMC drivers could come over and make select starts in the series throughout the season. So keep an eye on EMC. But for now, Vision is the only EMC driver that is confirmed to race this season, and he'll be one of the rookies to keep an eye on, compete for top 10 in points, and be a contender for Rookie of the Year. Kane's Season 2 was a tale of what could have been. In the first 6 races of the season, Kane's led the points, and through the first 6 races, he had 1 win at Daytona, 3 top 5s, and 5 top 10s. However, in the last 3 races of the season, the 21 team completely crashed and burned. Had a 14th place finish at Hakone, an 11th place finish at Daytona, and another 11th place finish at Homestead to close out the season. Because of that, Kane's fell all the way down to 3rd in the standings while watching Andy hoist the championship trophy in Miami. This season, Kane's looks to prove that he's still a championship contender going into the season, and that is much needed. He had an average finish of 7.8 in Season 2 and finished 3rd in the standings, so coming into this season, Kane's is really hoping he can stay in contention and continue to prove why he's a championship contender going into Season 3. And here is another one of our complete unknowns heading into Season 3. Like many others, S-Man is a rookie in Season 3, and unlike some other rookies like Slow and Vision, S-Man has never raced in an official VRA event. So we literally have no data on the 23 team going into the season. Honestly, S-Man's goals is just prove that he can be a capable driver in this season, and wherever he can finish in the points is going to be very telling of how S-Man does in VRA, because we obviously have no data to go along with S-Man, so I think his goal is just see how he does and how he can compete in VRA going forward. This might be a hot take, but I think Hawk was the most underrated driver in Season 2, but hear me out. He only raced in 7 races, so obviously he's not going to finish as high in the points because he only was in 7 races. But in those 7 starts, he had 3 top 5s and 5 top 10s, had an average finish of 7.7, and still managed to finish in the top 10 of the points. That 7.7 average finish was right on par with Kane's and Mikey, who both contended for the championship all season. Had Hawk raced in all 9 races, he might have been up there competing for the championship. I'm not saying he would have won the championship, I'm just saying he probably would have been up there. But with that said, I think if Hawk wants to contend for the championship, his attendance has to be better. The performance is there, but Hawk needs to show up to races on a more consistent basis. We all know he has the speed, but can he actually compete for the championship and take that next step? That's the big question surrounding Hawk headed into the season. Now we move on from the most underrated driver from last season to probably the most disappointing driver of Season 2, which was Blaze Reaper in the 25 team. Blaze, in his 7 starts, did not finish in the top 5 at all last season, had only 2 top 10s, had an average finish of 16.3, and finished a very disappointing 16th place in the point standings. His 16.3 average finish was dead last among drivers who made 6 or more starts last season. Blaze has to step it up in Season 3, and we all know he can. I mean, Blaze dealt with a lot of bad luck in his 7 starts last season, including the iconic late race crash at Daytona back last season. But this has to be a big rebound season for Blaze, and if he doesn't rebound, I don't know what Blaze does from there. But anything has to be better than whatever last season was for Blaze, no doubt about it. I know everybody's talking about Slow and Vision for Rookie of the Year, but don't count out K-Force in this 26 car. K-Force has won races over in RPM on the ovals, and he's been pretty solid in VRA since. He hasn't lit up the leaderboard, but K-Force has ran decently well around the top 10, top 15-ish. If K-Force can step up his performance just a little bit in VRA, I think he can contend with Slow and Vision for Rookie of the Year. And K-Force has also shown speed, but I wouldn't say he's a championship contender just yet like the other two. I think K-Force should focus on top 15 in points for now, make sure his attendance is up because his attendance hasn't really been that great in the W Series, and I think K-Force can contend for Rookie of the Year. I don't think there's been a single driver in the series that has made more paint schemes than Orion. He might be the best paint scheme warrior in VRA right now. But as for his series performance, in his only start last season, he did score a runner-up finish in that iconic 3-wide finish between Gavin and Rick, and finished 2nd out of the 3 drivers. Orion is mostly an unknown, but has run a few races here and there, and I think he'll be a sleeper pick for the top 10 to 15 in the points. However, Orion will need to prove that he can run up front consistently in this series, and hopefully his paint schemes look as good as his finishing results. The champ is here. The champ is here. Andy is back for his second season in the Mario series to defend his Season 2 championship. Andy was by far the best driver overall back in Season 2, as he raced in all 9 races, got a win at Homestead, finished in the top 5 6 times, which was more than any other driver in the season, as well as scoring 7 top 10s. He had a series best average finish of 5.9, which was the best among all 17 drivers who ran more than 6 races, and obviously he won the championship. Andy will look to defend his championship crown from last season and prove why he won the. And here's yet another rookie entering the series for Season 3. PB Actual is fairly new to VRA, and he hasn't really ran that many races. He's only started 2 official VRA races, so he's mostly an unknown. We have some data on him, but he's mostly unknown. However, he has never ran a Mario Series race, so we really have no idea how he's going to do with tunes. However, he is in a stacked rookie class this season, so PB Actual is going to get overshadowed by many other rookies in the field, such as Slow, Vision, K-Force, Johnny, and Exotic. We'll see how PB Actual does, but I don't know. I'm not too confident in him, but hey, I could be proven wrong, so who knows. And here's the other half of the Legacy Motor Feds. I mean, Legacy Motor Club. Aluminum Pancake heads into his second season in the Mario series, and his first season was a little underwhelming. He wasn't terrible, but he definitely wasn't one of the elite drivers. In his 7 starts, he didn't win, scored 1 top 5 finish, and scored 3 top 10s. He had an average finish of 13.1, which was on par with NASCAR Baby, and he finished, 13th in the point standing, so not terrible, but Pancake didn't really look like much of a threat last season. We'll see if Pancake can improve this season, but for right now, Aluminum Pancake is kind of viewed as a middle-of-the-pack driver going into the season. Up until race 8 last season, Mikey looked like he might have been on his way to a championship in Season 2. In the first 7 races of the season, Mikey didn't go to victory lane, but he had 4 top 5s and 6 top 10s. It was sitting a very comfortable 4th in the point standings with just 2 races left. However, his final 2 races were horrific. He ended up DNQing in the second to last race at Daytona and was competing for the win at Homestead until he crashed with 2 laps to go. Season 2 was a season of what could have been for Mikey. Didn't go to victory lane, but he was extremely consistent. He had a Matt Kenseth 03 kind of season. This season, Mikey looks to make that next step towards winning a championship, as well as going to victory lane for the first time in not just his Mario's career, but in VRA as a whole. He has not won in the W Series or Mario Series, but Mikey makes to look that next step and compete for the championship once again in Season 3. Jump in. Our Season 1 Mario's champion is back to try to win his second championship in the series. Jumpin' had a really good Season 2 as he started 8 races, scored 2 wins at Hakone and Homestead. Those were 2 of the final 3 races, finished in the top 5 4 times and had 6 top 10 finishes, had an average finish of 7th, and he finished 4th in the points. So Jumpin' still had a great season statistically, but he wasn't as consistent as some of his other rivals for the championship like Andy and Rick. There's no doubt that Jumpin' is a championship contender once again in the Mario series, and he'll always be a contender to win races as long as he stays in the series. My question is, can Jumpin' get back to the top of the season? No doubt in my mind he'll contend for the championship again, but can he be a little more consistent this time around? His first 2 finishes last season were 12th and 10th. DaBaby is back, this time for his first full season in the series. His only start last season was his 6th place at Daytona, so not bad, but as far as the other tracks in the circuit, we don't have much data on the 54 team. But with his 6th place finish last season at Daytona, he does show promise, but he'll need to put up some consistent performances to be considered a threat in the series. Right now, he should aim for the top 10 to 15 in the points, and anything more for the 54 team should be a big accomplishment for the team. And here is one of my personal picks to compete for the championships this season. Gavin had a great Season 2 despite missing 1 race at Daytona. He made 8 starts last season, scoring a win in the second Daytona race, the rain one. He finished in the top 5 4 times and had 7 top 10s, which actually led the series in top 10 finishes, tied with the top two in the points, Andy and Rick. So Gavin was on par with the top two in the championship for most of the season. He had an average finish of 6.5, which was actually better than drivers who finished ahead of him in points like Jumpin' and Skins, and he finished a very strong 6th in the points. I think Gavin takes that next step this season and competes for the championship this season. Do not sleep on that 56 team. We know he has the speed, but I think this might be the 56's year, and he is my personal pick to bring home the championship this season. And Sketchy Rain is another one of those unknown drivers headed into the season as he heads into his rookie season. As of the making of this video, Sketchy Rain has only started 3 official VRA races, and I think he's another driver that not many people are keeping an eye on going into the season. He's in a loaded lineup of rookies alongside Slow, Vision, Exotic, Orion, and others. The 57 car, I don't really expect much going into the season. I think he should compete for top 15, maybe top 20 in the points. I think that'll be a good season for Sketch. But you never know. He's a rookie, and we've seen rookies light up the series before. Not just in the Mario series, but in the W series as well. So he's a risky play, but keep an eye on Sketch going into the season. I don't expect much from him, but he could surprise us all. I know everybody's been talking about the end-of-season collapses of Canes and Mikey, and rightfully so, but what about Uranus in the 75 car? I mean, in the first half of the season, in the first 3 races, Uranus didn't win, but he had 1 top 5 and 2 top 10s. So Uranus started out the season pretty solid, but holy crap, after race 3, the dude looked like a completely different driver, as in the final 6 races, he did not finish in the top 10 once. In the season combined, he made 8 starts and finished with an average finish of 13.1. He did finish 12th in the standings, but that was mainly because he raced in 8 of the 9 races. Drivers such as Hawk and Vanilla, who raced in one last race, finished ahead of him in the standings. This is a season where Uranus needs to bounce back. In the recent races he's been doing, he has not looked that great. Uranus needs to get it together, pretty much, because he did not look very good in the last 6 races. He did not look very good in the last 6 races, so if there's any driver besides Blaze that needs to step it up going into the season, it's Uranus in the 75 car. Hi guys, happy Pride Month. Vanilla Cummins goes into his 3rd season in the Mario series, and I think can be a championship contender if things go his way. Last season in Vanilla 7 starts, he won a race in Indianapolis, finished in the top 5 twice, and had 5 top 10s. He had an average finish of 8.6 and finished 11th in the points and was 1 point short of finishing in the top 10. Vanilla can be a fast driver, but I've been saying this for months. Vanilla is the most boomer bust driver in VRA. If he runs well, he runs really well and contends for wins. When he doesn't run well, he's either hanging out in 16th place or he disconnects from the race entirely. Vanilla is a very tough driver to rank. I think if he booms, Vanilla is a contender for the championship. If he busts, what did I even say there? But if he doesn't run well, then he's not going to run well in the season. So I think Vanilla is the riskiest play for the championship. High risk, high reward. Going into Season 3, Mullet's another one of those drivers that has talent, but is mostly unknown. In his only start last season, in his first ever Mario Series start, he finished 2nd to Jumpin' in what was a very competitive race. Mullet is one of the more underrated road racers in VRA, but other than that, Mullet hasn't really been that great on ovals. But that skill on road courses isn't going to help Mullet this season, as there are no road courses on the schedule this season, just ovals. If Mullet can improve on ovals, then Mullet can compete for the top 15 points. If he doesn't though, then I see Mullet being a back marker for most of the season. And here is our resident Brit himself, who absolutely loves beans on toast. And that weird number placement for some reason. But overall, Moneyback Crip was mostly a non-factor in Season 2. Yes, he scored 1 runner-up finish at Indianapolis last season, but other than that, Crip didn't really do much in Season 2. In his 6 starts, he had 1 top 5, which was that 2nd place finish at Indianapolis, had 2 top 10s, an average finish of 14.5, and finished 17th in the standings. So, Moneyback Crip, when he runs good, he can run up towards the front and maybe get a top 10, but if he runs bad, he's going to be running in the back of the field. I'm not big on Crip going into the season, but hey, our resident Brit might shock us all. Until then, he's a lower mid driver in the series, and if he doesn't improve, I think he'll remain like that. Might contend for wins every now and then, but overall, mostly a non-factor. Those 29 drivers I just mentioned are not going to be the only drivers competing for the championship this season. Some other notable names that are competing this season: Winter, aka Toby, driving the number 27 Chevrolet. We have some RPM veterans that are coming over to race in the Mario Series this season. We have Dr. Quinn in the 42 car, who takes over that car after Exotic moved over to the 18. We got Cacklin Deft, who's driving the 69 Ford. We have one of the best drivers over from PPRL. We have SEW Tsunami hailing from Hawaii, driving the number 58 car. Half Assist Tism is back in the 84, but he will be running a limited schedule this season, as in real life he is an IMSA fueler, so he doesn't have a ton of time to race. So Tism will be making limited starts this season. For all you Billie Jean fans, he is back in the 420 car this season. And finally, hailing from Argentina, we have L. Sherman driving the 811 Toyota. So that is all of our drivers racing this season. Now time to make predictions for each of the races and who I think will bring home the championship this season. So here's who I think will win all of the races and who I think will win the championship this season. Obviously, this is probably going to blow up in my face, but I'm only considering how good somebody is at a track and not including strategy or anything like that, because there's going to be a lot of that this season. Daytona is a huge wild card, but I think Grizz will win the opening race of the season. See, Daytona, anybody could win at Daytona. It's probably the most easiest track and the most chaotic track, so anybody could win. But Grizz is another one of those drivers that can be aggressive on the starts, and he makes 3 wide a lot, and I think that will help him in the long run and help him win at Daytona. Mikey, I think, wins one of the Eagle Rock races. We all know he's incredibly fast at that track, and I think he'll win one of the 2 Eagle Rock races this season. Jumpin is obviously really strong in Indianapolis. I'll slot him in for race 3. Rick will get his yearly Sunset win. Andy goes back to victory lane at Homestead, winning that race for the 2nd year in a row. Hawk wins another chaotic race at Daytona. Slow goes to victory lane at Sunset. Gavin, I think, goes to victory lane in the 2nd Miami race. We all know Gavin is extremely fast there, and I think Gavin will win again. Vanilla goes to victory lane in Indianapolis. We all know he's fast there, and I think he'll be consistent enough and fast enough at that Indy race to win it. Daytona, I think Exotic will win a wild race at Daytona. There's another wild card winner for you. I considered other drivers to win it, like obviously Rick, Orion, drivers like that, NASCAR Baby I considered, but I think Exotic will pull it at the end. He's a pretty good super speedway racer. And for the finale at Eagle Rock, I think that goes to Slow. He's also incredibly fast at Eagle Rock. He's going to have some challengers for that win, but I think Slow will win for the 2nd time this season, and I think Slow will be the only multi-time winner this season. As for the champion, I think it's going to be Gavin that brings home the championship. There's obviously other contenders like Jumpin', Mikey, Rick, Slow, Vanilla, and some other guys that I haven't mentioned, but I think Slow, with his past history of race strategy, I just don't think he's going to be consistent enough. This may blow up in my face, and I think it will, but in the end, I think Gavin is the one that brings home the championship in Season 3 of the Mario Kart Espresso series. So that's it. There is your Haters Guide to Season 3 of the Mario Kart Espresso series. Starting on Sunday, 36 drivers will start their quest for Season 3 of the Mario Kart Espresso series and their quest for the newest Mario Kart Espresso series champion. Some are already championship contenders, some are looking to prove themselves, and others are just simply looking for a decent points finish. No matter who they are, we're all hoping for a great season and great racing throughout the season. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know with a like, and comment who you think will bring home the championship in Season 3. With all of that said, this is Mikey, and Keith and Wind will see you on Sunday at 8:30 Eastern for the opening race of the season at Daytona over on the VASCAR VRA Twitch. So with that said, have a great day, everybody.